This is the Greg Bedard Patriots Podcast with Nick Cattles.
Talk about Maye specifically here because, again, it was hysterical. And I think part of the fear, I think it had to do not entirely just with Drake Maye, Greg, but that the rest of the team looks pretty ordinary or flawed. And I think that expectations might have been a little bit too high at the beginning of camp. And as things kind of moved along, everyone's like, we might not be that great, but at least we got Drake. And then Maye looked the way he looked last week. And I do think a little bit of panic set in because it was like, oh crap, if he's not going to be the guy, that's bad. He looked really, really good for a lot of different things. And it wasn't just like big plays or doing the sexy stuff. I thought he was great. Just especially second and long, getting enough plays to make it third and manageable. Ball placement relative to last week. You know, you talk about him getting jacked up and this and that. I thought he put certainly on those two balls to the running backs, the wheel route in the first quarter over there to Henderson, and then the 53-yard gain to Ramondre Stevenson. Those are exactly where they need to be. You might have to high throw to Hooper on that first drive, but for the most part, like that was one of the problems last week. He looked sped up, but he was wildly inaccurate. And I remember you saying, accuracy is a hard thing to fix. What do you think was different this week where he was just able to settle in and make like really good professional throws all game long?
Most of it, John, I just think is, just getting a game under his belt, with, live bullets, so to speak. Really hard to replicate all that stuff, even in joint practices, when you're not allowed to be hit and, your own practices. It's just, they didn't play very much in the preseason. Nobody does. Didn't run any of really their stuff because you don't want to reveal anything. So it's really hard to do NFL offense. And I think you saw this across the league in terms of the struggles that a lot of offenses had the first week, even teams with, guys, a ton of veteran people and continuity. So I really think it was a matter of Drake just, playing in the system and seeing how it happens. I also think, that the Raiders defense was pretty good last week. I thought they had a good plan as far as they wanted to take his legs away. They played a lot of zone. That makes it a little bit more uncomfortable for a young quarterback in a new offense. And I think you're right. I mean, I thought he was in total command. I thought that, motioning guys in and out, his checks at the line, just taking a profit, checking it down, getting 7 or 8, when they were shooting themselves in the foot with false start penalties or what have you. I just thought he was really good. His accuracy was pretty good. I just think it's, and I said this last week, I said, he's going to be sped up until he's not sped up. And I think what you just saw today was a guy that had a game under his belt and was able to settle down, understood what he was going to see, and, a little bit more knowing what you're going to get out of a Miami offense because they're in the division. The Raiders were completely unique. They really had no idea what they were going to see last week, and that's not going to help a quarterback. And so that Josh McDaniels can get into the film and say, like, this is what the Dolphins are going to do. This is what Anthony Weaver is going to do. That breeds confidence in a young quarterback, and I think that's what we saw today was a confident quarterback doing just about everything.
Here's Maye talking about exactly that, the difference between last week and this week.
I was feeling good warm-ups. Kind of down here in this humidity, this is what I grew up throwing in, and then North Carolina, the ball feels good, so spinning it well, and I think from there just trying to get the guys, quick completions, kind of let the guys up front kind of get used to the flow of the game.
Spinning it well. I want to ask you, Greg, about the ball distribution here. Again, leaning heavily on tight ends or, targeting tight ends. You've got a little bit with Diggs, not much with Booty outside of that touchdown catch. Again, you've got the touchdown pass to Hollins, touchdown pass to Booty, but not much else to those guys. But what you saw in this game I thought was interesting, and maybe I don't know whether you're tracking it in game or you just can see it better from the press box because, of course, Greg is at the game here, covering it live in person. Looked like Stephon Diggs was operating out of the slot a little bit more. Is that a thing that you're, and again, not entirely because they played a lot of 12 where they were just rotating in two different receivers, and sometimes it was Hollins and Booty, sometimes it was Diggs and those guys, but he did seem to get some slot reps today, and it looked like DeMario was kind of phased out. Is that a 1 week thing, or you think that this is direction that they might be moving with some stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, Kyle Williams even got, some snaps
Got a few
early, which we didn't, see last week. I think they just wanted probably wanted Drake to have, some comfort and, having guys available underneath that he has trust in, and Diggs and Hooper and, Henry didn't, have a whole lot of action today, but and plus, let me say this is the worst press box angle in the league, so I don't know jack crap about what happened during this game as far as like schematics and things like that. It's horrendous. You're in a low corner, but I just think that this was the Patriots knew what to expect. It's not a very good defense there. If you can handle the line, which I think they did a great job of. I was just looking at the PFF's like an initial grades, and I think they only have like a couple of pressures in the game, and really, I think those were the backs. I think Stevenson, Henderson had a couple of tough reps, 2 holding calls, but I just don't think this defense is very good for Miami. I think the linebackers are weak. I think the safeties are weak. The cornerbacks are taking people off the street and putting them in there, and so I think that obviously contributed to the Patriots being able to be productive.
Well, that's the thing. So not to do the wet blanket thing, which you've been accused of from time to time, but like, did you predicted a loss? So let's be honest there, right? You had the Dolphins winning this one, so at least that didn't happen. They put up 30 points the first time since 2022. So that's a positive thing. Did you expect or want to see more out of the offense than you got today? Did you think that they could have exploited them?
If I hear any of that bull crap, I'm going to go nuts. So I don't want to hear any of it. I can't. Like, I'll probably hear it on 98.5. Like, I was just looking at it. Let's just go through it and let's be real, okay? I mean, I know people think that if they don't score a touchdown on every drive, they've failed. These are their drives: touchdown, touchdown, field goal, punt, touchdown, field goal. I mean, that's pretty damn good offense. You have a quarterback who completed, I think it was 83% of his passes. 82.6. The running game was good. Ramondre was good. So like, I had no problem with the offense, and like, everybody should be thankful about what they did today. It was really good. I have a lot more issues with the defense. What's going on over there? Some of the special team stuff. The kicker can't make kicks, even in his own college home stadium. I'm just fine with what they did on offense. And the thing was, yes, I predicted a Miami win. I had no idea. I thought, who knows if Miami's going to quit? I didn't know they were going to be that bad and being implicit. The Patriots easily could have lost this game. It would have been on the defense and the kicker. But I did predict a high-scoring game. I predicted, I think 30-27, I think earlier in the week on my podcast. I think I might have had 34-30. I don't know, something like that. But I figured both defenses were going to be in a world of trouble. And I did on my podcast on this network say that this could be Drake Maye's sort of breakout game. And it was.